Again, and I've tried to make this video about maybe 8 or 9 times now. I think this time will be perfect. Every time I make the video, I don't explain something right, something doesn't go right, something doesn't go right, or it just kind of falls through. So, which we're gonna be watching here is me playing Marvel Rivals, and what this video actually is me trying to do this video again, the Marvel Rivals, but it just doesn't work out well because I'm in the middle of playing the game. I'm playing competitive as well. I'm in the middle of playing the game. I have teammates talking to me sometimes, like, screw it. I'm just gonna play the game. I'm gonna use background. So, okay. So, what is bottleneck? Bottleneck is very simple. Bottleneck is simply when one part of your computer limits performance in any facet. Actually, let me rephrase that. Bottleneck is the concept of limiting performance in any way. It's not just your computer, it can be the game itself. The game engine can limit it. Games like GTA 5, they about that game in particular kind of doesn't like going over 180 FPS. It can, it just really doesn't like to though, so you might get into a lot of stuttering. Games like Apex Legends, it has a max FPS of 300, so at a certain point, you can't get better performance. Games made in Unreal Engine 5, very unoptimized. You'll get very low frames, as you're gonna see in this video actually, that Marvel Rivals is made in Unreal Engine 5. So, what I was explaining here in the video at this point is what these metrics mean. So let me just rewind, give myself some time. So we have my GPU utilization. Well, we have my GPU stats in general. So there's my GPU temperature. Doesn't really matter. I'm undervolted my GPU, so it's gonna stay nice. GPU utilization. What is utilization? People get utilization wrong all the time. They think, oh, my GPU is running at this much of its capacity, it's running this fast, or is this close to blowing up? Like, what? No, you're crazy. Do you know how people think that a part running 100% means it's about to blow up or kill itself? That's so stupid. No. Here's what utilization is for both your, not even both, for your CPU, GPU, and your SSD. Utilization is simply how active a part is within a given time frame. If I have 10 seconds, and during those 10 seconds, my GPU was active for all full 10 of those seconds, that's going to read as 100% active. Now, this can change depending on the application you use. There are other monitoring applications like NZX Cam. Let's say, for instance, it's like 15 seconds. If my GPU is active for 10 seconds of those 15 seconds, what is that going to be? Like 66%? It's going to look like 66% utilized because within the given time frame, it wasn't active. And your parts are always switching. Your parts are always switching from active to inactive, active to inactive. So you can never really get to 100%. You can get to 99%, but 100% is just unrealistic because there are moments where your parts freeze up. So utilization is simply how active a part is within a given time frame. That's all utilization is. So stop being like, oh, my GPU's only 30% utilized, only getting 30% for performance. No, 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 no. There are instances where you could be drawing like 1/10 of your GPU's total power, and you could have like half of its utilization because the kind of work a GPU does kind of relates to its utilization. So stop worrying about utilization so much when you don't really understand it. So as we see up here, right now the menu screen I'm 95% utilized because this game is very unoptimized. It's running Unreal Engine 5. Just running this will have me right at 100, having right at 100% nearly. But because as you see, I'm also hitting about 277 watts right there. If you look, I'm in like what 276 watts. Yeah, that's insane. Now to go to my CPU, my 5800 X3D. Excuse me. I'm 32% utilized, and I'll explain that some more in depth because we have a lot more stats to go through here. I'm 32% utilized. Your CPU doesn't do as much work as you think it does. Games for the most part are very single core bound. Some can use multiple cores, and most do use multiple cores. Some can use more cores. Most games only really care about single core performance, and they can utilize maybe two other cores, maybe for small things like a lighting engine or maybe like, hey, just caching some player data, like small little crap, it doesn't matter, not really impact performance. And if you look, you'll see that I've outlined all my cores here. So we as computers work now, cores are split into threads. So I have 8 cores, 16 threads. So we can look and identify what cores are being utilized the most just to run the game. When I was running the game, I had a few things open, just my browsers. I think I had a VPN open or something. So, not much was happening, but we see core 1, 55%. Then we see core 2 is 28%. Then core 3 is 50%. Then if we just go down all the way core 11, that's 45%. Other than that, the only core that even gets close, again, seems to be core 4 at 39%. So I think I can confidently say, and I could be wrong, but I can confidently say, though, that core 1, core 3, and core 11 are the ones being utilized for the game, with core 1 being the one that's, running the game primarily, and the other one is just like handling some other stuff. So, as you also see, they're all pulling like a small amount of watts. Cores don't run a lot of power. So, to be honest, that's why you'll hear a lot of people say that a 5900X is much better than 5600X. Because it's not. Single core performance is slightly better because I believe it's higher clock. If it's higher clock, sure, it'll run a little bit better. But who cares about the other cores? Games don't care. Look, some of my cores are only running like 20% just because they're just running other tasks in the background. Core count barely matters for games. It just is what it is. Additionally, another thing I want to explain here, FPS. What is FPS? What is 1% FPS? What is 0.1% FPS? So FPS, all this measures is every second how many frames I get in total. In the whole second, how many frames can I just shove in that 1 second? This is what people care about the most, but it's what they should care about maybe like the second most, to be honest. Because while this does matter, this could be spaced out weirdly. Imagine you do Imagine for 1/3 of a second, you do 80 FPS. For another third of a second, you only do like 20 FPS. Then the last third of a second, you get your remaining like 100 FPS to hit whatever, like, what is that, 200 FPS total? You might think, oh, 200 FPS, that's great, but keep in mind, we perceive time constantly. We don't perceive time in seconds, we perceive time in the moment constantly. So 1/3 of a second, where you're only getting 20 FPS, you're feeling that 1/3 of a second where it's stuttering, it's lagging. That's the concept of 1% FPS. 1% FPS is how much FPS you're getting 1% of the time. So that's your lows. That determines stuttering. Then 0.1% FPS is, of course, how much FPS you're getting 0.1% of the time. These are always going to be lower than your FPS because they're not measuring it in a whole second. They're measuring it in small fractions, then taking the lowest of those. Those, honestly, these matter more than FPS. That's why people say that some consoles, when they play on consoles, that the game feels smoother because consoles are locked to 60 and 120 FPS. But what a lot of people here do on computers is that they'll run their FPS uncapped, and when you do that, you introduce the possibility of stuttering. Let's say you run your FPS uncapped, you have a 165 hertz monitor like I do, you can run the game at 300 frames. That's wild. But then when it drops down to these 44 FPS, you're gonna feel it a lot more. You're gonna feel it a lot more. Additionally, it could even drop lower for you. Oh, probably drop lower for you because now you're putting so many more resources into your game that your monitor can't even process. Your monitor can't even show you those extra frames, but you're putting more resources into it, which could decrease your lows. That could decrease your actual performance. That's why it's important that you lock your frames. Anyways, this video is about bottleneck. Anything can be a bottleneck. Your monitor can be a bottleneck. Your arm can be a bottleneck. Anything is a bottleneck. It's not. Stop worrying about bottleneck. Let's worry about performance instead. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hop in the game. I'm gonna show you how utilization changed in the game. So of course I'm a Jeff man. I'm the greatest. And just me being in the game. Look at that. My CPU utilization went up to around 50% just being in the game. My GPU is pretty much slammed at 99%, but my CPU is pretty much right at 50%, 60%, and it will go higher. You will see it will go higher in this match. And why does it go higher in the match? Because more stuff is happening, more stuff that requires physics. For instance, the map breaking, a little bit of GPU power, mostly CPU power though, because actually rendering the assets breaking your game takes no GPU power. But calculating how it breaks off, that takes some CPU power. So if you look here, you're gonna see that my CPU utilization is like at a calm 50%. But honestly, this doesn't tell me anything because remember, guys, that number right there is just the average of all my cores, and half of them are doing jack shit. So we see one of my cores right there. The first one actually is going up to 70%, and later on, we're probably gonna see that hit 80%. That core is doing a lot of work. Now, my other cores did boost up actually. They probably boosted up because, well, my CPU is doing more work. It's probably demanding more power in general. So they're all going to boost up a little more. It can maybe spread out its workload a little more. So that's good actually. But we can definitely tell what core is pulling its weight the most. It is definitely that core 1. Core 3 seems to have evened out. Core 11 also seems to have evened out. Looks like it's still pulling a little bit more than the others. But definitely core 1, I can definitely tell core 1, core 11 definitely doing the most work here. That's for sure. And that's kind of all that matters. Now, as you see, I'm my my usage on core 1 just almost hit 80%. I believe it should have hit 80% in a moment. Up here it is. So it happened after I did this. Let's see what was happening when I hit 70%. I mean 80%. Okay. Let me go back. So we were spectating. Groot had a lot of walls. Luna was doing her ultimate. Groot did his ultimate. A lot of stuff is going on the screen. It doesn't have to do with the GPU all the time. It's having to do with the CPU because the CPU is having to do a lot of math. It has to detect okay who got pulled in where. Was Luna where's Luna supposed to be? Where all these characters supposed to be? Was the geography of the walls? CPU is doing a lot of work. So honestly, I'm GPU bound. I'm this is really even here. My utilization is very even here actually. I'm pretty much slammed at 99% of my GPU, but my CPU in one on one of my cores is going up to 80%. The other ones are like hitting like 60%, not really going higher than that though. So that's performance. And you can say I'm bottlenecked by my GPU, sure, but but when you say bottleneck, people think, oh, I'm losing performance. I'm not losing any performance. These are how my parts perform. If my CPU could put in more work, it would, but it can't. And it's not going to be the same for every game you play. How your parts perform, how they're utilized, depends on the games you play, the tasks you run in general, what runs on your computer, the resolution you run at, it depends on so many factors that it's pointless to worry about bottleneck. There is no reason to worry about it. It's irrelevant at this point because look at this. Do you seriously think this is bottleneck? Do you think me being slammed at 99% utilization, hitting 80% on single core on my CPU is bottleneck? We sure technically bottleneck, but there's just so much fear associated with this word. This is just performance. Let's just call it performance. Let's just call this performance. That's a lot easier. So that's all. I hope I can finally upload this video because I've been wanting to talk about this for like a week straight. Every time I record it, something goes wrong. Something just doesn't add up right. This is great. I think this is gonna be the video, and I hope y'all learned something that just because you see this utilization doesn't mean oh I'm bottleneck. No, you're not. If your GPU is hitting 30% and your CPU is over here crying at 90%, turn your settings up. Give your GPU something more to do. If the if the opposite is true, then honestly, turn your settings down, or maybe turn it up if you want. Or maybe you can unlock your FPS, make it run higher. I don't know. Don't run it higher than your monitor's refresh rate though, because then you might introduce some stuttering. But that's all, guys. I'm done with this video. I'm definitely gonna upload this one. I'm happier with this video. If y'all are interested in any more kind of computer concepts, like me trying to build this computer with a motherboard I bought from eBay, and it turns out the motherboard has a CPU and DRAM white on it. So I have to return that. So that video is gonna take a lot longer to come out than expected. I expect to get that done by the end of this week, actually, today, actually, but since this motherboard didn't work, that plan's ruined. So you'll have to see this later. Anyways, that's all for me. I hope y'all enjoy this video. I'm for real heading out this time. What's that thing I said again? Oh, that's right. Bye.